all you beautiful, wonderful, amazing, spectacular tea people. Grilled blueberry notes. I think that's the hook for this one. I got a bunch of these boxes that just came in this morning. Actually, this came in about 5 minutes ago, and I'm like, I got to go test them out. And the people who support Mountain Stream Teas are absolutely wonderful. I have gone and done earlier in the morning. I've gone and I've gone and packed up all the tea. So the tea is all packed up, and I decided, hey, why don't I just jump on and do a quick live stream? Now, what I'm doing here, this is kind of fun. This tea right here, this is the orange Louis Red, the orange scented Louis Red that I was drinking in the last live stream, which I guess was 2 days ago. And I had some, and I had left it out here in the sun on the outside, and I gave it a sniff, and it was amazing. It smelled so good after having left it outside for a day. So that, you know what, let's brew it up and see what happens with that. I think it bodes well for what that tea is going to turn into after it sits and those flavors meld for a while. But why don't we get into this right here? So what are we looking at? We are looking at these boxes of competition tea. So you got the Muzha box, and if I remember correctly, this is actually a can of tea. Now you can see here, this is yeah, so this is, you know, they've got the stickers on there, right? So you can't actually open it up. You need the stickers to do it. And so I'm gonna open up the tea here, just like that. This one's actually really hard. The Reichway one, it's like it just opens up really easily, but this one's actually really hard. So I'm gonna open it up sort of like this. And then, wow, I'm getting the scent coming off of this tea right here. This is going to be a really good tea if it works out. It's got to sit for a while. Anyways, so open it up, and you get your can of tea. Now, this is going to be for sale for the sale next week. So the 20th to the 23rd, there's 3 days of 20% off everything, and this will be for sale. So that's what's going to happen. And they do things a little bit differently in Muzha. So they got these boxes, right? So these golden, shiny boxes, but they do things a little bit differently. And what they do differently in Muzha is each one of these is 300 grams, right? So each one of these is 300 grams. Now, in the other ones, they do like huge boxes and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. So it's more expensive. This one's a little bit cheaper in the sense that there's sort of less packaging. But, of course, you've got your can, right? So you got your can of tea. So here we go. Let's open up the can of tea. Let's see. I'll put it by the microphones here. There we go. There's some ASM. Anyways, whatever that fad was that is now gone, or maybe maybe it's probably still there, alive and well, but I don't see it in my curated AI curated feed. And so what happens when you get these teas is you get this big old bag of competition Muzha, and this one is, of course, 300 grams. Now I just got in a bunch of these. Like I said, it's going to be on the site. It will be there on the site for the sale next week. Sale 20% off everything. The code will probably be just like 7, like the number 7, because I think it's 7 years. I think it's 7 years since I started Mountain Stream Teas, and we'll do the good old the game where if you get a 7 at the back of your number, you'll get a special prize. And I think the person who gets 70, or the people who get 70, hopefully there's people who get 70. I'll give you like a tea cake, but anyways, I'll deal with that information. I'll deal with that stuff a little bit later. Now, you can see here, sort of goes like this. And then obviously I would seal up the top, but then you can close it up like this. And then you got your competition Muzha. Now, why? For roasted teas, oftentimes I'll be using like a really big, you got my attention, grilled blueberry notes. Well, that's it. on YouTube, that was the title, grilled blueberry notes. I'm learning from the YouTube people. And then I've got to have like a thumbnail with me going or something stupid like that, right? And then I'll be a YouTube star. I don't know. This doesn't work for. I don't think it works for Instagram quite as well. Anyways, what's the point? Point is here. This is a roasted tea, but I'm not using a pot to brew it. And the reason I'm not using a pot to do it is because this is a heavily roasted tea, right? So you can see how dark it is. This is a heavily roasted tea. But the reason I am not using a clay pot to brew this tea is because of its delicate grilled blueberry notes that I've been able to pull out after I've had it. I think this is the third time I've had this tea. And the first time I had it, I just brewed it like this just to check it out, see how it was going to go. And that was giving me some really interesting characteristics, some really interesting taste characteristics. Then I brewed it in the clay pot, and the clay pot sort of took out a little bit. It took out some of the flavor characteristics I was really hoping that I was going to be able to pull out. But this tea is so delicate, it actually sort of took them away. They didn't take them away, but it dropped the, right? What does clay do? So you've got the circle of flavors, right? So in the center, you've just got your core flavors of the tea. And then up here, you've got the different things. Sometimes they're bad, so they're down here. Sometimes they're good up here. The really good teas will have like the core, and then they'll be like spiky up here, florals, high flavors, all different types of really, really beautiful things up above. And then the low quality teas will have all the spikes down at the bottom, like like over steeped or a bunch of different things down below that are just not very good. And the clay pots just sort of close in the circle. So a lot of that stuff gets taken out. So if you've got a tea that's heavily roasted or one of those types of teas, then you're going to be taking away some of the negative stuff. And then but the higher in your palate type of teas. So you're looking at the high mountain oolongs, the florals, those various different types of teas. You don't want to be brewing them in a clay pot because they're going to be taking away a lot of that really, really good flavor characteristics, right? It's going to be taking them away. And so this is quite a unique tea, right? This is a competition Muzha, and it's a unique tea because it had a lot of those high notes. And in this case, how I would describe them in the context of a marketing, or I mean, it's objective, it's objective, but grilled blueberry notes. That's what I was getting out of this tea. I really was. And with the first steep in the background, the grilled blueberry notes are not that strong. I promised blue grilled blueberries. Well, we'll get to it. But on the nose, that's literally what this is. Grilled blueberry, grilled raspberry, grilled berry. And no tartness, no sourness. But it's literally like grilled berries. And when I brewed it in the clay pot, it just didn't come out at all. Not at all. Like, I mean, you get hints of it, obviously, with a tea, even if you brew it in a clay pot, you're going to get hints of it. But I did not get real, like it wasn't a blast. Whereas on the nose of this right now, brewing this in sort of the flavor neutral sort of porcelain gaiwan here, that's exactly what it is, grilled blueberry. So there we go. Maybe I'll have to change the name on the website. Grilled blueberry competition Muzha. Competition grilled competition blueberry Muzha. Or like the amazingly intelligent people on the Discord, we can put those two together, and we'll call it like grilled berry Muzha. There we go. Right. So we had the maltivar from before. Now we've got the grill berry. But it's pretty unique. Now what I'll do is I got a lot of it. Well, I mean, not that much. anyways, I got a lot of it. So what I'm going to do is for the sale, I'll just sell the big boxes like this, and then after the sale, I'll break up some of the boxes in 25, 50s, and 100s and things like that. Probably, I might do that beforehand too. See how much time I have. But they just came in today, and that will be on the store, in the store for the sale, which again is coming up. My whole family is now like, it's coming. We got to get ready. On the second steep, it's not quite as dramatic, but it's much more blueberry. And it's a blueberry. Let's see if it's in here. Let's see. Now this is a Jinchen, and it is a note I don't think I've ever had before. I don't think I've ever had this note before, which is fun because I've had a lot of teas and I've described a lot of teas, and grilled blueberry is not one of the notes that I have written down in my many years of doing this job. And there it is. A little bit spicy, a little bit roasted. There's grilled blueberry sort of in the up front. And then if you have a really good imagination, it's in the back end as well. But I will fully say I'm leading the witness. That taste point, you could probably come up with some other ways of describing it. But grilled blueberry is definitely something that I think fits. I think it's valid. But updates. And if anybody's got any questions about anything, throw it in the chat. Updates. Like I said, next week, 20% off everything. What are the updates going on in the tea world in Taiwan at the moment? Unfortunately, it is not really spring yet. It's been raining a lot the last couple of days. You can see behind me, we've got the sort of the I mean, it's beautiful. Like you can see behind me there, those mountains, they are gorgeous, but they're a little bit wet. And so, I do like this tea. Grillberry competition Muzha. And what's happening all over the island? I'm a little bit worried for next week. I'm worried. So generally speaking, we had a relatively perfect winter for tea. It wasn't too dry, it wasn't too wet, it was cold, but it wasn't too cold. But I'm worried because next week we're getting a cold front coming through. When the cold front comes through, there is the danger of some frost. So it gets down in this area, it's going to get down to around 10 degrees. And 10 degrees is sort of the limit for where there's frost events up in the mountains. So if it gets around 10 degrees here, there might be frost events in the mountains. Now, it's only 10 degrees. So like if it was going to be like down to 7 degrees or something like that, just something crazy, then we're looking at that's really dangerous for a frost event happening in the mountains. 10 degrees, we're right at the limit, right at the level. And so I really hope it doesn't happen. But if it's going to happen, it's going to happen sort of this week. And that would kind of suck because the wintertime teas for most producers were not very good. Although the wintertime teas for sort of 2,000 meters and above, it was okay, right? It was okay. It wasn't like it was a really terrible thing for them. It was okay. But, I'm looking forward to springtime teas. I'm looking forward to springtime teas. And when you get a frost event up in the mountains, one, the amount of tea that gets picked is much lower. And two, it's not as good. Now, the last time we had a serious frost event up in the high mountains, if you look back through the Instagram feed, you'll actually be able to see me going up and seeing the results. So there was a bunch of tea up there that was frost damaged, and it looks like it's been burnt. Right? It looks like you just take a torch to it and it goes, and sort of gets burnt. And it's got a bitterness to it. Obviously, it doesn't taste good. It just doesn't. When you make tea out of the tea that's been a frost damage, it just doesn't taste good. And that happened, I guess, about, I want to say, I have to look through it again, but I want to say like 5 years ago. I think it's about 5 years ago, give or take. So, so it happened about 5 years ago, and it really affected that year's crop. Now, the fall crop was great. The fall crop that year was one of the best in years because the plants had gotten more juice, right? Because they didn't pick off too much of the tops, and then they could grow again. But generally speaking, the producers don't need that, right? The producers don't need that. Yay, blueberry! Yes, we're bringing them in. It's working on YouTube. I just got to do a thumbnail like and do some stupid face, and so I will not be doing that. That is a joke, and the reason that's a joke is because I say this every once in a while, but it's entirely true. The people that I deal with on a day-to-day basis who support Mountain Stream Teas are just on a higher level than generally speaking people. One, it's not that hard to find Mountain Stream Teas. Like, you got to go to different vendors. Like, if you're going to go on Instagram, go to the most famous guys, then you're going to like the Jesse guy and all these people like the Mayleafs, and you're going to sort of you're going to pay a lot of money. And so the people that they pay a lot of money, and they're like, well, I like this stuff, but I want it for, like, I want better value for the money. And then you do some research, and then you find me. And so those people, one, they kind of know what they want. Two, they're usually, generally speaking, just nicer and higher IQ and more successful and things like that. And which, again, doesn't necessarily mean that you're a good person, but when it comes to tea, generally speaking, it does. It does. It does mean you're well, certainly in your interactions with people. And I'm always thankful for that. Right? Like, if somebody has an issue, tea's late or something like that, maybe 1 out of 25 will be like, "Where is my tea?" And I'll be like, talk to the post office. But the vast majority of people are like, my tea hasn't shown up. Is something wrong? I mean, it's absolutely, knock on wood, of course. It's amazing. It's amazing, and I'm eternally grateful for that, because if I had to deal with not good people every day, I wouldn't do this job. I would not do it. You said my tea tasted like blueberries. I don't get a blueberry note. I want my money back. Never happened, thankfully. So maybe it'll happen with this one, right? Maybe it'll happen with this one. But if I lead the witness, right? If I lead the witness, what you're getting with this tea is the Jinshren Oolong, right? Last year's competition tea was like a better version of the Golden Muzha, like it was softer and more luxurious. This one's different. It's not the same. It's like the mouthfeel isn't as thick as the Golden Muzha, but it's taking the beautiful fruit flavors that you can get from the Jinshren cultivar and grilling them, for lack of a better way. For lack of a better way of describing it. But anyways, might try making back to Taiwan again in June. Guess around some high mountain harvesting, some Oriental Beauty too, I suppose. June, there won't be too much going on in the high mountains. The mid mountains, I might be doing a second pick, but there'll be lots of the Oriental Beauty stuff going on. And the lower elevations, they'll be doing their cheap teas. So like the really, really cheap and dirty, Four Seasons type stuff will be all being picked during that time period. Thanks for being genuine and transparent. Well, it's actually funny because I see some of the more famous guys who charge a lot more money, sort of trying to talk about transparency and this type of stuff. And I'm just like, anyways, it's I like where I am in the tea industry. I someday maybe if I decide to get some help, I'll try and go bigger. But I've experimented with some of those things in the past, and in general, the people that you meet and the people that come to you from mass marketing, the people that you attract, are awful. They are awful. Like if you get out there and it's like if you have a viral post, you do something on social media and it goes to 100 people, great. 1,000 people, not bad. Maybe you get one idiot in there, two idiots. But then once you get over like 10,000 people, or you get to like really, really high amounts of people, oh, what you are bringing to yourself is nothing but pain and suffering. It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. Just horrible, horrible. And so I try and sort of stay away from that. I quite like where I am in the tea industry right now. It's like to find Mountain Stream Teas and to order from Mountain Stream Teas. Like one, I haven't updated the website in 7 years, 8 years. Like when I first started, I made the website. I haven't updated it since. And so it's like if you're just buying it because the website's nice, you're not going to find me. Like my descriptions are okay, but they're not all that good. Anyways, whatever. That Oriental Beauty was a treat, an expensive treat. It was a very, very expensive treat, but yes, it was a treat. The one that I have on the site right now in the backroom section. Again, backroom section is, if you want to get into the backroom section, it is welcome is the password. And that one, I think it costs more than $1 a gram, or around $1 a gram, or a little. I think it's a little bit over $1 a gram. Anyways, it's what you have to pay for that quality of Oriental Beauty, Eastern Beauty. It's what you have to pay. There's no going around it. If you're going to get that high quality, somebody is going to pay for it, and you got to come. You got to go after the other people that are going to pay for it, or you have to compete with them, and that's just what you got to pay. And I don't like paying that, obviously. I don't like other people paying that either, but unfortunately, that's what you're going to do. And it is a treat, like it's a treat. But I'm also very, if you're going to compare sitting down, enjoying your time with anything else, a good wine is more expensive. A good beer is more expensive. A good piece of cheese might be about the same, right? Maybe about the same. A good cigar, way more expensive, right? And so when it comes to the teas, the expensive teas, it's just like, what are you going to do? Like if you're actually going to compare it 1-to-1, a good piece of chocolate, like it's more expensive. All of these things are more expensive than sitting down with 5 grams of tea and having that experience of those 5 grams of tea. They're all more expensive for that top of the line stuff. It really is. Is there a room behind the back room with tea that's $2 a gram? Well, maybe if I sell out all of the back room tea, I'll go to that. But I'll tell you, like, it really is. It's a gamble, right? It's a gamble. So I'll give you an example. If somebody doesn't like the tea, or they say there's something wrong with the tea, or whatever, I just like, okay, who cares? Just I'll give them a refund, right? As long as they're acting in good faith. And the more expensive the teas get, the more that refund is, the more money you lose for situations like that. Now, that very rarely happens. Like it happens probably once every maybe 6 months or something like that. But it happens. And usually it's somebody who's in a bad mood and they've had like a situation and they're like taking it out on you, which is fine, right? I'm doing business. It doesn't matter, right? That happens. But when you get to the more expensive teas, then the people who buy those teas are, the stakes go up, right? And if they don't know me, if they don't trust me, they're like, oh, somebody said this tea is good, and they tried it, and they're like, it's not as good as this, blah, 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 blah. I mean, I've talked about it in the past. But I think I'll probably have to save those types of teas for when I actually have my tea room set up. So when I've got a tea room set up here, and I can be like, listen, you want to try the best of the best, and then I'll brew the best of the best for you, and then you be like, that is the best of the best. I'm gonna buy it, and that's that, right? It's so hard to sell those types of teas online. It's so hard to do it, and that's why I have the password, because if you already know me and you know me well enough to watch one of these, then you probably, like, you get willing to give me the benefit of the doubt. You get the password, you get in there, you try it. If you don't like it, it's one of those things, again, where I talked about it. It's I don't like it, but I can appreciate that it's good, right? And that's what it boils down to. Personality and honesty are a few of the non-tea reasons why I've been so loyal to us and not at us. Yeah. Well, thank you. I have a hard time dealing with comments like that. Very hard, because I don't think that I'm doing anything special, and I wish that everybody in the world was sort of like I get really, really nice emails often, and I don't know how to reply. Like, thanks, but like, why isn't everybody like that? Like, where you buy your eggs, why can't they do that too? I don't think I'm special in any way, other than it makes me uncomfortable for a bunch of different reasons. But I'm happy you enjoy the tea, because the tea is made by friends of mine, and I like to support them for sure. And that's why I never hesitate. Yes, well, you trust me. That's why I'm like, I put the password on there, right? The chances of me having to have a problem with people who have already watched one of these, get the password, jump in, buy the tea, much, much lower. And again, the backroom teas, the password is welcome. And I think you just have to put in the password once, just once. And then if you use the same computer, then you don't have to put in the password again. But I can only imagine what. Anyways, I could probably sell this for like four or five times as much as I'll probably sell it. Blueberry, competition Muzha, organic, and this is an organic, agrochemically free grown Muzha competition tea that won third place, and is, if I lead the witness, tastes like grilled blueberries, which grilled blueberries on a cloudy day in the Pacific Northwest, covered in dew. But hopefully, and I don't want to talk bad about the people who make a lot of money, like sell, or truth is, they don't actually make all that much more money, right? The people who really do that, who do the really, really, really expensive teas, they don't actually make all that much more money because they have to pay for a lot more stuff. It's like, one of the reasons why I love organic agriculture so much, why I just love it, is that you don't have to worry about the prices of things going up and down. You don't have to worry about inputs. You don't have to worry about, oh no, urea is more expensive this year because they shut off the Russian cheap natural gas. So fertilizer is more expensive. So before I was selling this for $1 a gram, now I have to sell it for $3 a gram because of the price of urea and geopolitics, right? With organic tea, there's no inputs. There's just labor. In general, right? It's complicated, but in general, and so the prices don't go up and down. Like, I've been paying the same price for organic tea since I started, right? There's a couple places that go up a little bit, but basically I've been paying the exact same price for for organic teas for the whole time I've been doing this for 7 years, because their inputs are labor, care, the time, all those things. And the prices don't really raise because the inputs going into them. Now, the cheaper teas in Taiwan, definitely the prices have raised. The prices have gone up little by little. They've gone up and gone up and gone up. But for teas like this, it's been the same price the whole way through, right? Since I started till now. And we buy our vegetables from a guy that my son, we call him Sifu, like my oldest, his master, his literal master, because he's such a good farmer, just a market garden. And the prices have been stable forever, right? They're not raising, whereas a lot of the other prices will go up. And the simple fact of the matter is, when you don't have all of these external impacts onto your business and onto these different things, then your life is just so much better. Oh, it's so much better, right? You just don't have to worry about certain things. Now, obviously, you have to take it as it comes, right? So, like, I buy from my son Sifu, and so for most of the year we don't have tomatoes. For most of the year we don't have lettuce greens. For most of the year, but when they come in, we're like, hey, yeah, lettuce is back, and tomatoes are back, and only 2 more weeks until we can get potatoes. And so it's you take it as it comes, but you just you don't have to worry about that. You worry about the weather, obviously, but you don't have to worry about external things and all that type of stuff. I actually want to try grilling blueberries now. Honestly, I kind of do too. like a little bit of charcoal, get a little bit of the smoke coming up, give it a couple little shakes, and then you get, because what it'll do is it'll caramelize some of the sugar, but you still get the tartness. But the tartness will be sort of washed out of it in the same way that if you cook a tomato, the tartness of the tomato gets washed out. And you sort of go like this, and you get a little bit of charcoal. I think it'd be actually pretty good. I think it'd be actually pretty good. You could, in one of those restaurants where they have, in our house, we call them big plates, little food restaurants, where you get the big plate with a little tiny bit of food in the middle. Can you imagine how much you could charge for a plate of grilled blueberries? And like, what would be the sauce? It'd be like maple syrup, sour cream sauce, right? So maple syrup, sour cream sauce, a dollop of that, a couple dollops of that, and then 10 grilled blueberries on the top. I mean, that's how you make money right there. Because it's quite pleasant. Grilled blueberry is quite pleasant. But anybody, something with vinegar, yeah, you do that too, right? I mean, I don't know. I'm thinking of it as a dessert. You could make it as a main course, right? You put a little bit of Japanese beef on the top, and it costs $100 for that much food. If anybody does that, I'd love to see a picture. And but there you go. It's a pretty decent restaurant idea. Grilled blueberries as a main course. It's so strange that I make money by describing flavors. I mean, obviously, it's not the only thing I do, but it's quite a lot of fun. I enjoy it. I'll be drinking a tea, and then it'll have a unique flavor, and I'll be like, yes, cha-ching, I can sell this. There's my hook. Blueberries, grilled blueberries. There's my hook. I'll be a YouTube. I'm gonna be Mr. T Beast in no time. All right, so let's try this out. Now, this is going to be weird. So what happened is I took a bunch of the Luye Red, and then I gave it to my buddy, and I said, blast this with orange blossoms, because I think it would match. Right? I think it would match. Got to serve tea with it. Well, yes. Well, that is a huge growth market, right? If you get one of those restaurants and you get somebody there who comes and does the whole, tea service thing and gives you the teas as you're drinking, it's a growth market. And he said, I don't think it really worked too well. And I think that, well, what I did was basically I brewed it the first time, and the first time you have it, it's not all that, and then I let it cool down. And when you cool down a tea, all the tea flavors sort of meld together. Oftentimes when you brew in teas with hot water, you're taking some of the flavors and sort of evaporating them. When it cools down, those flavors sort of dense, and you can get those flavors. You really get the taste of a tea when a tea cools down. And I noticed that the tea, when it cooled down, was amazing, just amazing, which means that this tea, when those flavors meld, right? It was just done last week. When those flavors meld, it's going to turn into a really special tea. And what I did, actually, I didn't do it on purpose, but I put it on this plate and I just left it out here in the sun for 2 days. And it's been a rainy 2 days. So all those flavors got wet and sort of melded together. And this is what this tea is going to be like after like about a month or a month and a half, 6 weeks of sitting together. And this tea is going to work really well. This tea is going to work really well. Orange raspberry. Orange raspberry. So this is like a rich, sweet, orangey raspberry flavor. This is going to be a winner. This is going to be a winner. There's a touch of tartness to it, but I don't think it's going to be very much. But this is going to be great. Actually, what I'm going to do with this tea is already highly oxidized, right? This is a red oolong. So I don't have to worry about it going quote unquote stale really quickly like you would have to do with the greener oxidized oolongs. But I've got it in the bag, and I think maybe once every 2 weeks, I'm actually going to sort of open up the bag, shake it around a little bit, get some humidity into it, close it up again. And I think that tea is going to become something special. But it's going to take about 6 weeks. Wow, I think it's going to be a really fun experiment. It's going to be a really fun experiment. That's going to be fun. That's going to be fun. And I took a relatively large risk with it, but I think the risk is going to pay off. I think the risk is going to pay off. It's going to be a win. But we'll talk about that more as we get closer to releasing it, I guess. All this talk about berries and citrus has me looking forward to the spring weather. I hope it actually arrives. I was talking to my family in Southern Ontario, and they said this week it's supposed to be like 15 degrees. So they'll all be taken off their, they'll all be sort of walk into the market in their bathing suits and wearing like the t-shirts with no sleeves and everything like that. But I think from all accounts all over the world, although I didn't hear too much about Europe this year, but it seems like this was a pretty nasty winter. So I hope it's finally done. We got 1 more week of it here in Taiwan, and like I said, I'm a little worried about the frost event happening this week up in the high mountains. Remind us of the difference between electric roast teapot and charcoal roast teapot. Electric roast teapot. So the types of teas or the teapots themselves. So for the teapots, when you're looking at sort of the wood-fired teapots, you're looking at a much stronger flavor, a much stronger impact onto the tea, and so it will take a long time for the pot to weather, to get better, or not to get better, to impart its own character to the tea. It'll be impacting the flavor a lot longer. The electric teapots, the electric fire teapots, they will sort of right away sort of brighten up the teas, take off some of the edges. The best way to think about it is you've got the electric teapot. we're talking about it earlier. The flavors, right? So the core flavors of the tea, and then you got the things that come out the sides. Down here are the bad ones. Up here are the good ones. The electric fire teapot will be sort of like this, whereas the charcoal teapot will sort of be like this, and then they intense those flavors in the center. Whereas the electric fire teapots actually work pretty well with the high mountain greenish oolongs. What it does to the tea, yeah, okay. So it actually it brightens up a lot of the flavors in the high mountain oolongs, whereas you would never use the wood fired teapot with the high mountain oolongs. You just never do that, because it basically takes away all the florals. Whereas it can brighten up some of the florals, and especially works really well with teas that might have some bad flavors in them, in the sense of maybe it was too wet or something like that, and it'll help out with that. But in general, you want to be using pours, the older pours, the show pours, the roasted teas in the wood-fired teapots, and then everything else goes into the electric fired. Black teas work really well for the electric fired. And I mentioned it before, there will be 17 teapots for sale probably in early April, when I get some time. I don't have time right now. I got to get ready for the sale, but I'm sort of getting them next week, and then I'll take some pictures and get them out there. Is there a micro terroir or a specific tea in Taiwan you still would like to explore deeper? Any in particular? It's an interesting question. No, not really. There's certainly missed opportunities. Like, I would love to head down to the Liuguai area and find a new producer for the Taiwanese pu'er style teas. I would love that. Unfortunately, it's just so far away. It's really, really tough for me to do. But in a perfect world, I'd love to go down there and spend some time in those mountains, meet some people, help with the production, and be able to pull that off. For the other areas of Taiwan, I wish I could spend more time in Alishan, I guess. That's an area that I don't really spend as much time as I wish I could. I mean, there's lots of areas I wish I could spend more time, but I found friends there that have really good teas. And so it's not the biggest deal to go down there and just sort of hang out. But that's about it. Looks like I'll be getting a new teapot. Well, they'll be out eventually. Like I said, probably early April. So you're saying we should buy one of each type then? Well, I would say it depends on what tea you enjoy and what tea you mostly drink. Would I say one of each? I don't know. I mean, if you want grilled blueberry notes, then probably neither of them are going to work out too well. I mean, the electric roast will be okay with this one. You still get your grilled blueberry notes, but they're expensive. It's a winner. It's going to be a winner. That is orange raspberry. You heard it here first. Orange raspberry. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. It's going to be a really, really good tea in about 6 weeks. Awesome. That makes me happy. Like I said, it's a little bit of a gamble. All right. So I think we're getting close to finishing up here. Just to recap, grilled blueberry muzha, grillberry muzha, blue grill, blued. No, I guess it would be grillberry, but that's what this one is going to be. It will be released on sale during the big sale next week, 20% off of everything. Our 7-year anniversary, I believe, is the 7 years. We'll be doing the same thing for that sale. There will be, if you got 7 at the end, you will be getting. I actually found about 1 kilogram of the Fall Pear Mountain, so I might be giving out like 50 grams of the Fall Pear Mountain for every 7 that you get. There's also leftover subscription boxes, but if you get a 7, you get some extra tea, and if you get a 70, I'll probably do those old tea cakes. You get one of those old tea cakes that I've still got sitting around. And does he ever make teapots that are 50 to 100 milliliters? Yes, and he will be making more of them. And because I've asked him, and if I order like 20 of them, then he'll make those for us. And so that's sort of the next step is doing that. But it's a culture thing, right? You know, it's also kind of sad, right? But if I got a big block of stinky cheese, it's probably just me and my family that are going to drink it or eat it, right? Same thing with the high quality teas, right? I wish it was sort of the same here. So people here, they want the bigger teapots, 150 to 250 milliliters, because they a lot of people drink it together. Whereas, a lot of people who buy tea from me, they're drinking it by themselves, unfortunately. Because there's not that many people that enjoy this style of tea. Grilled blueberries in a tea, they're like, what? Like, do you mean like the blueberry fountain soda star anise, black tea blend that I get from the strange brightly colored tea store down at the mall? You go, no, it's like grilled blueberries in the tea. They don't add anything to it. Is it sweet? So I shouldn't make fun of people, but he doesn't make a lot of 50 to 100 milliliter teapots. No gatekeeping. I apologize. I shouldn't go on a rant about that stuff. To each their own, although if it's picked by slave labor, I will take a moral stand. If it's sustainably sourced tea ingredients, whatever, go for it. Have at it. But if it's slave labor picked, I will go on a rant. Anyways, that's about it for now before I get myself into too much trouble. Thank you for watching. I'm going to go and I'm going to probably make myself some lunch, and then I'm going to go and send out the tea. If you have made an order, unless somebody made an order while I was doing the live stream, it's packed up and ready to go. All orders are going to be sent out today, although I probably won't tell you till tomorrow if you're one of the people who ordered this morning, my time, probably nighttime, your time. And yeah, wherever you are in the world, I certainly hope you have an absolutely amazing morning, night, evening. I hope you sleep well. I hope you have a great day tomorrow. Thank you for watching. See you next live stream.